show you the 30-second commercial.
Hold on.
Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I tell you, I am so happy to be doing this show with one of my best friends in the whole world, and that's Captain Herman Archibald. And I tell you, so proud of this young man and all the things that he's doing, all the things he have done, and just so happy to call him friend. But I tell you what, I got so excited I forgot to introduce the show. It's your life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley, and we got a fantastic show today. And wherever you're watching this show at, you can be part of this conversation because you're going to want to. You're going to want to be part of this great conversation. From the military to ministry. Yes, I did say that. From the military to ministry. And I tell you, it's depending on what you did in the military, depending on what type of person you might have been in the military, to actually exit the military and continue to teach God's word and even go in it even further is is a blessing in disguise, and it's a lesson to be learned. So we're going to talk about them, but I cannot really start this show without bringing on my executive producer, co-host, and the person that make all of this happen, Michelle Cooley. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm really excited about the show. I met this amazing man once in Hawaii, and it was really a pleasure meeting him. You've talked about him for years since we've been together. So I'm so excited about the topic from military to ministry. So I'm raring to go.
Yeah, I've been knowing this young man for about 38 years, somewhere close to the 40, and just an amazing guy. And I want to get this thing started, Michelle. First of all, can you start by introducing the title of the show, which we already did, the purpose of the show, and also introduce this great guest?
But yes, so we're getting to know the military background of retired Navy Captain Herman Archibald, and we're going to talk about his transition out of the military and the establishment of two nonprofit organizations. And we're going to talk about adjusting to change and serving the community during the pandemic. And again, the topic is from military to ministry. So let's talk a little bit about this amazing man. As the Chief Growth Officer for Geisler LLC, Captain Retired Herman Archibald develops and executes all aspects of Geisler LLC's growth strategy, including business development, capture, proposal operations, strategic pricing, and customer engagement. Captain Archibald has been approved to assume the role of Chief Operating Officer effective January 1st, 2023. As such, he will be second in command at Geisler LLC and oversee all aspects of operations within the company, including marketing, financial growth, and sales. Captain Archibald earned a Master of Science in Computer Information Systems from the University of Phoenix and a Master of Strategic Studies from Air War College, Air University Maxwell, AFB-AL. His decorations include Legion of Merit, Defense Meritorious Service Medal, Meritorious Service Medal, Navy and Marine Corps Commendation Medal, and Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal, and various unit and campaign awards. There's so much to talk about regarding this man, and we don't have time to read all of it. So welcome to the show, retired Captain Herman Archibald.
Herm, what's
Well,
up, man? How you doing?
hey, how you doing, JC, Michelle? How are you? Before we get started, I have to give Miss Michelle a shout out. I was in Iraq when James sent me the wedding pictures of the lovely Miss Michelle and himself, and I tell you, I was jealous that he was. I didn't get a chance to be a part of that amazing time in his life. But he cheered me up and he said, "Hey, he was praying for me." But he had to give me personal, uh, uh, some early pictures of the wonderful wedding. So Michelle, thank you for allowing him to marry up like we all have done.
You're welcome.
JC, it's good to see you, my friend.
Man, it's an absolute pleasure, man. You know I'm tickled pink, and you already know, man. We go back 38, 39 years. I practically grew up together in the military, and just relationship that we started, man. Even when you was a detailer, you was back there writing everybody, coming like, Arch, can you send me here? Can you send me there? Because you were the man then, and you still the man now. So Arch, why don't you tell our viewers and our listeners a little bit more about you, and just tell them about Herman Archibald.
Yeah. Hey, thank you, James. Thanks for giving me an opportunity to share. Everyone has a story, and my story is pretty simple. That here's a young man that grew up in Alabama, uh, and the Navy gave him a lifeline. Had some grandparents and my mom, son of a single parent part of the time, but my mother married an amazing man that helped father me, and my grandmother and her sisters helped raise me. So it really takes a village. I joined the Navy in 1981, enlisted. and just had a blast. The Navy quickly became a fit for me because uh, I had some really good friends. Leaving Alabama, I got a chance to go to San Diego. The only guarantee I had was you going to San Diego to boot camp. But I quickly realized, though, after I got to my first ship, yeah, parents might have been correct. You might need to go to school and get a little education. But I didn't listen. Ironically, I started going to school. I told James this earlier. He helped motivated me when we would be working out at the gym, and because I was all about my Navy career, and his thing were, well, what happens after you leave the Navy? What happens if that doesn't work out? So James always was a planner, and he could see second and third order effects of things way before I could. And I just appreciate you, man, for allowing me to be a part of the journey.
Man, I've been living vicariously through you for the last 20 something years because uh, we both had envisions or if we stayed in making '06. And I tell you, it was a lot of people that was in our group. I'm talking about it was about 15 of us. And it was told a long time ago to you and I, when I think when we were lieutenants, that you guys got a potential to make captain. Now, I always knew that not only did you have the potential to make captain, but you would make captain. And I used to tell you that. I used to tell you that all the time. Actually, I told you you're gonna make admiral, which I was shocked that when that opportunity didn't turn out right. But man, it's just being around you, Arch, watching you. I mean, and just chatting with you every day. You driving me, I'm driving you. Especially during hard times. I can remember a time when I led a trip, I think, to Italy,
Yeah,
IG team, and at that time, my hip. I mean, I'm telling you, it was really going bad, but you went along with it. I'm so happy that you went along on that trip with me because as you know, halfway through the trip, my hip gave out and I couldn't even walk. And you carried me around, you carried my bags, you carried it to the airport. I don't know if you remember that time, man.
I
You-
do. I was your EA.
oh man, that was so those types of things that inspire us, and I'm talking about those create everlasting friendship, my friend. And God always been a major part of both our lives. And I'm just so happy to see, that you continue like you always follow God path, and even coming out the military, you transition, what God had planned to you into ministry. So can you tell our viewers and listeners a little bit about that? We got about 2 minutes before the break.
Yeah. Well, I knew when I was 9 years old, the Lord had called me into ministry at 9. Now, I didn't live like I was, but I knew that God had impressed in my spirit, and so every job from then on always carried a pastoral or a servant anointing to it. I always tried to look for wrongs and try to make them right. I just tried to wanted to do the very best I could do to serve people and lead people better than I found them. Uh, so when I got ready to transition out of the military, ministry was the next step. I was visiting a church back in 1989. I wrote it when we had paper Bibles. I wrote it in the and this pastor asked me to come up and pray over the congregation. And when I prayed over the congregation, the Lord reminded me of what He had spoken to me as a child. And He said, I am going to plant you in the Pensacola, Florida area. Now, that was 31 years later that the manifestation of the vision came forth. But in the middle of a pandemic, God impressed in our spirit to start not only a nonprofit work to serve His people, but to start a ministry to impact the lives of His people.
Wow. We're gonna take a station break, but we're gonna come back and we're gonna pick it up from there, Arch. And we just gonna talk about military, from military to ministry, and some of the great things that you and my girl Mary and then the whole family is doing, man. So we're gonna take a station break, but we're gonna come back and we're gonna continue this great discussion with Captain Herman Archibald. It's your life. I'm Dr. James J.C. Cool. We'll be back shortly after the break.
We are not a charity. We are veterans. We are warriors, brothers, and sisters. We don't need, we deliver. OpsForVets.com. Handshakes, not handouts.
I'm Albert Rencheria, Marine Chief Warrant Officer 4 retired, Ops for Vets CEO. I invite you to take a look at our organization. You'll quickly understand why out of thousands of groups currently serving our veterans, we have become the most rapidly growing and opportunity-rich team in the market. We have deployed dynamic distributors who are responsible for servicing and growing their regions, East, Central, and West. We provide a complete roster of high-caliber services, produced to create the results you require. Find us on the web at www.opsforvets.com. Handshakes, not handouts.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and again, I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley, and I got my very, very, very good friend, more like a brother to me. I mean, and we have went through a whole lot of stuff, and this man right here, uh, even when I was going through my toughest time, he helped me up, and kept me positive, and just kept my mind straight. And we're gonna talk about some of those things in a minute, so you know what I'm talking about. But Art, I want you to explain to our audience what was it like transitioning from the military to civilian life, and when did you make that decision to do that?
Hey, thanks. Great question. I was I was about to go to my major command tour as being the commanding officer of Naval Computer and Telecommunications Master Area Station in Hawaii. Leaving Bahrain, and before I was in Bahrain, I was special operations, and before that, I was in Iraq. And so I did like 10 years of high operations back to back to back to back, and so my wife and I, our kids were all had to all started going to college, and it's much easier when your spouse have smaller kids where they can take a lot of their time. But our kids were in college, and my wife had gone back and got her graduate degree, and she's in her PhD. And one day we had our conversation. We said it's about time for us to figure out what's next for us. And this was during the same time frame that I don't believe in wasting a lot of time, and nor I don't have agenda. So I try to figure out, okay, where am I at and where I need to be? And so, I had a conversation with my boss and said, where are we at and on this? And I very favorable. But the Lord just was impressing in my spirit to transition out and do something else. And so we made the decision that we was going to transition out. Of course, I got a lot of phone calls that, are you upset about this? Are you disappointed? No, I, I tell people that I haven't missed not one day in the Navy, because I joined the Navy full and I left empty. I really tried to leave it all on the table, have no regrets. I remind myself of what David said. It was good that I was afflicted. So it was good that some things didn't work out the way they had, because truth of the matter, if I would have stayed on active duty and I would have competed. I think I would have competed and competed well for flag. I'm not saying I would have made it, but I would have been. I know I would have been competitive, but I would have missed out on God's plan. See, we never want to allow a good plan to come in the way of God's plan, because in the middle of a pandemic, God reminded me of something He had told me 31 years ago. And I reminded him of, Lord, you do realize that I'm 56 years or 57 years old now. Uh, who starts a ministry at 57? And because you want to be using your resources, you and I, when we talked about this, if you make a mistake at 27, you got a lot of runway ahead of you. You can recover. Man, if you miss God at 57, it's not a whole lot of runway left before you. And I quickly realized in the midst of this, nobody is interested in following nothing you trying to do unless they see how much you trying time, effort, and finances and resources are you trying to invest in it. And so my wife and I, we had a conversation. We talked about it and we said, we all in with God. God said it, so we're going to do it. And I tell you, we have been so excited, living our best life. And there's times it's frightening sometimes. We had to figure out the whole COVID thing and how we continue to serve, because the needs doesn't stop. I've learned every Sunday morning comes. And so, and nobody want to hear the pastors having a bad day.
No one want to hear the pastors having a bad day, but you mentioned those phone calls. You got one from me, like, what? Man, you're not gonna make flag together? I was living vicariously. I said, man, we got to put this on, man. Man, but you're right, Arch. God always have a plan, and He always, I believe, give us those certain hints that, okay, this might not work this way, like you expected, like you planned, but I got bigger and better things for you.
Yeah.
And He told you also that, you know what, you spent all of that time overseas, but the woman that you married, that I brought in your life, she is taking care of everything, and she is going
Yes.
to be there for you. She raised the kids. You got two daughters that PhDs now. I mean, and your wife is a PhD. I mean,
Man, I'm not even the smartest person at my dinner table.
oh man, man. So
Yeah.
so things like that, man. We have to follow God plans, not just our plans. Even though sometimes we're selfish, right? Sometimes we get selfish, but we always have to snap back in there. So, tell us about your church and the two nonprofits that you and Mary started, and that's doing extremely well.
Well, ironically, the first nonprofit we started was the Empowerment and Transformation Center, and it was a way to help the private sector and underserved community to experience how what do they do when they transition between jobs, and where do they go to get the resources they need. Because we have been blessed in the military. We have systems and processes in play, albeit they're not perfect, but they are still nonetheless they're there to serve the service members. And I quickly found out in the private sector that that wasn't the case after about six or 7 months worth of research, or it wasn't readily available to every community. And so we decided to. I told my wife that I think the Lord is pressing my spirit to start this nonprofit, and so I was waiting for my retirement out in Hawaii, and I actually started the nonprofit before I retired. And it takes a lot to get your 501(c) and all those other things. So it took us about 18 months to get all the credentials we need. But we up and running. We start feeding about 25 people. Our goal was if we can do 25 people, because the way I'm wired, there's a lot of things I don't have. So don't tell me what I don't have. But I thought my family, they know me. I asked 30 questions. Tell me what you do have. Tell me what you can do. And so I have this sign in my office that says, "Start where you're at, use what you got, and do what you can." And so my wife and son, we was at the dinner table, and we said, we got the large, medium, and small for a soup kitchen. The large is an industrial kitchen. Well, we can't afford that, and we don't have that. The medium, we're not going to be able to get all the state requirements met, but we can do a small. And so we started out with the concept of a potluck at home, everybody bringing, and we went from feeding 25 people to every Wednesday to over 900 people a month. And the reason we're doing this recording at the church now is because I literally just left the outreach event and hosting this at the church. So that's where we're at, and that led to the church, starting the church, because a lot of the people we were serving in the community didn't have a church home, or there was no longer affiliated. Because that's a generation growing up, unlike you and I, where our
you mentioned generation, Arch. You mentioned generation. Can you hold that thought? We want to pick it up with that's a generation started, because that's important that we talk about that. We got to take a station break, but we're gonna come back and we're gonna pick it up with. There is a generation that just started. So I'll tell you what, if you want to be part of this conversation, let's go to the comments. Ask Captain Archibald any question that you want to. I'll tell you what, it's your life. We'll see you shortly after the break.
Really get a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? And everything that you do.
You fight again. And if you want my opinion, I let it take me away. Only relief it's the four on the floor and the crowd that goes, turn it up, 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 turn it up.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and then we got Captain Herman Archibald. I tell you, one of my best buddies on this earth, and it's just like I said, he's been that way close to 40 years. And this man right here, a lot of things that I had to go through and had to endure without him being there to encourage and help and provide positive motivation. I don't know if I would have been able to do it. But I love you, brother. And you already know that I love you, brother. So Arch, I want to pick it up, man. Where you was talking about the nonprofit, the church, feeding, just like today. I think you guys fed over 100 and something folks.
Yeah.
But you do that on a regular basis now. And so I want to talk a little bit more about that. And you were talking about generation, our youth and our young. I mean, they have to be able to see, especially as you're saying, starting ministry at 57, they have to know that the pastor is willing to, roll up his sleeve and get out there and work and put the time in. And that's what building anything. So can we talk about that one again? And then I want to talk about the empowerment center.
Yeah. Absolutely. What I was going to say about the generation, there's a lot of literature out talks about how this generation is unchurched and all that. I would say people just perceiving and digesting church differently now. People want to see consistency. People want to know that your presence matters. You spend some time in Japan, and presence matters. That's why we have a whole fleet out in Japan, because presence matters, and you have to show up. They want to know you're going to show up, you're going to be consistent, and your presence matters. So I had shared with them, the team that I put together. I'm going to show up. I'll be consistent. And I'll let you know that I'll do what it takes to let you win the trust. Now, if you're looking for a perfect guy in the perfect church, this ain't the one. This is not the one. But if you're looking for somebody that will stand with you and believe with you and trust God with you, then we can go some places. And then we have to have some real, true conversations. Something you shared with me. I share with my youth groups. It's just the difference between you either creating or you reacting.
Oh.
You remember when you shared that with me?
Oh yeah, I asked you. Let me
So
put it in the right time. I said there's only one word out there that got the same letters in it, but mean two different things. And you said, what was that? Because I was trying to make a point at the time. I forgot what that point was. And I told you, I said, just think about it. Only one word out there with the same letters, but means two opposite things. And so we talked about it, and you said what it is. I said, either you create or you react. You just reacting to things. And you ain't put no brain thought in when you react. So you have to be in the create mode where you have vision, understanding, and focus. Vision, understanding, and focus. And that's how we get things done. That's how we are able to achieve certain things when you are in the create mode and not the react mode.
Yeah. So as the hip hop generation say, I was sampling a little James Cooley. but I was sharing with my team, and just that simple message to a group of youth, they made them begin to think, hey, yeah, I do have a choice. Nobody's making me react. The only thing I can control is my attitude and how I react to somebody else. And so the Nonprofit Empowerment Center was created so we can can be our arms extended out, regardless. I don't care what denomination you came from. I don't care what your sexual orientation is. I don't care what your socioeconomic status is, because we found out during COVID that some of the people say, "Oh, we don't need that food. Give it to some of the people who need more." But when COVID, the impacts of COVID began to reduce the income and what was traditionally seen as middle class, everybody, I was totally blown away with the demographics of the people we help. And most people would be really surprised if because we have to crunch numbers for a lot of the programs we get grants and funding from throughout the states, and so everybody has an opportunity to be in need. Life is an equal opportunity employer, so life happens to everybody, and so we want to just be our arms extended out to the community. So that's what the Empowerment Center, the church, there are certain things I have to abide by the church for my credentials, for my ordination, but our church's name in the church is Empowerment, and the Empowerment Church International, and our motto, we are an oasis of love to a hurting world, because an oasis is a green, wet spot in the middle of a desert. So we want to be a place where people can run in and get whatever they need. The church is a hospital. The church is not a social club. And we got to be able to meet people right where we're at. We got to be able to catch fish before we clean fish. And so that's what God has put on my wife and I, and our spirit and heart. We have an outreach spirit and a mission spirit. That's what the two of us have been working off, and we have the pastoral and apostolic anointing that allow us to be able to be a blessing to people.
Wow, you guys are a huge blessing to folks. And Arch, I don't get a chance to check you out every Sunday, but I try. I try to tune in, and I just tell our viewers and our listeners how can they tune in to this church service.
Well, if you go to Facebook, Facebook Live, if you put in your search bar at Power Up Church, just at Power Up Church, and then follow us, you'll see a Empowerment Church International, and we do Bible studies on Wednesday. We do youth explosions on Fridays. I'm very much a collaborator, so I collaborate with a lot of other pastors, and it's easiest for me to do it because I don't know anybody here. I don't have any of the other than military people, so I don't have any of the hidden old axes to grind. I'm just a guy who wants to serve God and bless God. So a lot of the other pastors will fellowship with me because they's like, okay, yeah, this guy, he's so green, he doesn't know anything. But it's really I'm so honored, and the people in the city and the city of Pensacola and the Escambia County in general, they're generous people. There's some people that don't need anything; they just drive by and say, "Can we drop an offering onto you? Can we be a blessing to someone?" And so we appreciate all the gifts and the partnerships we've made throughout the city.
Wow, yeah, but you guys are a blessing, and this guy's been doing so many things. So, Arch, how do you stay focused? Because you're getting ready to take over. You already working, doing a lot of great things, but you're getting ready to take over a big position beginning January January the 1st. So, how is that going to impact what you're doing?
Well, the company I am working for is, and they're partnered with us also. So the CEO, she's a partner. She sows in the ministry, and she's a Christian, and the team. And so she approached me and asked me would this be something I'm interested in doing. And so we laid out how would it look, and what would it matter? Could I make a difference in doing that? And she thought I absolutely could. So the focus is ministry first. I mean, family. The most important thing is family first. Well, after God. So I say God first. My relationship with God is the driving force. After that, my family, my wife. So when she said it was time to retire and come home, I closed the shop and it was time to come home. And then our family and our ministry. So God never told us to put ministry ahead of family. I do not believe that. I believe first important thing is you have a relationship with you and your God, and after that, God gave me a wife before He gave me a ministry. Uh, and so I try to honor that. I don't always honor, to be honest. In life, I deal with work-life balances myself. But we all try to do it, and then it helps a lot that I work from home, so I don't have to deal with fighting traffic. So nobody's gonna be crying a river for me. Because, like I said, every Sunday morning the church expects me to be there, and so that's what we do. We work really hard, and then my wife, she also ministers, and I have a great team. Anything worth doing is worth doing with a great team. One is too small of a number to make any really significant difference long term. And so I believe in the team concept. So pray for me though, brother. It'd be hard sometimes, man. But we get through it.
The team concept is always important. And you just named four important things with leading with God, because with me, God is first. God is first. Wife is second. I mean, you got them in the right order, bro. Family, and it's important that we follow that and we understand that, and that we don't veer very too far from it, because sometimes we do. Sometimes we get caught up, and we're swayed. But sometimes we have to slap ourselves, Arch. It's like, what are you doing? To get back on track. I tell you, we're gonna take another station break, but we're gonna come back and we're gonna pick it up because Captain Archibald is bringing it, and we're gonna pick it up and we're gonna talk some more. If you want to be part of this conversation, just go to the comments, ask this great man any question you want to. Remember, it's your life. I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley. I'll see you shortly after the break. Opportunity/choice program. Our primary mission is to help build the foundation of our youth and young adults and communities. And we encourage everyone to dream big, think big, and be big at everything you do. And the way that you do that is, first of all, you got to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself. You have to know that you are here for a purpose. You also have to be able to step out your comfort zone and do things that you probably didn't think that you can do.
Life is a series of circles and cycles, phrases and stages. These experiences teach you the lessons of life. You can either ignore them or embrace them. Welcome to It's Your Life with James Cooley. James is a motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation. James is here to equip you to strive for greatness and overcome adversity. It's time to get you equipped today for the challenges of tomorrow. Now, here's the host of It's Your Life, James Cooley.
It's your
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. It is your life. It's your life. And just like Arch was telling you, you got to believe in yourself. I mean, if you have to believe in yourself, and you have to sometimes just get focused and just stay focused. And you have to focus on four main points that he talked about. First of all, God. Then you got to talk the wife or the family, whatever, your significant other, the kids, and then you got to help build that temple. That temple, in his case, that's the empowerment center, his church, and all of those great things that go with that. And we have to stay focused on those type of things in order to grow, in order to help others out, in order to be that vessel that folks come to in a time of need. Because I believe that we all are going to need each other. I know I do, Arch. I know I do. So Arch, I just want to pick it up from there. You were talking about
Yeah,
those four.
man, I was sitting there as you were speaking. In Jeremiah, the Bible says that God told Jeremiah, "I knew you and I formed you, and even in your mother's womb." And He ordained you to be a prophet to the nation. So I tell that my conjugants that look again, believe again, dream again, think again. It does not matter whether you was born in the back seat of a Chevy, or you was born on you was conceived in an elaborate vacation in Hawaii. God has a plan for your life. Don't you cancel the plan. Let God direct your life, and He will do exactly what He wants to do. So I have to have God first, because He saw me. He saw me in the beginning. He knew He created me. When nobody knew who I was at 9 years old but Him. And He saw the potential in me. And even when I got in those pitfalls, some I created on my own doing, and some I didn't. He got me, and He brought me through it. And then my wife, she was been there. Me and her got married when we was 21 and 22. That's a lot of loving. That's a lot of living. That's a lot of mistakes. That's a lot of forgiving, and that's a lot investment that's gone into one another. And then our kids, they are the family. You have to. They I told them a long time ago, I'm not the perfect dad and you ain't the perfect child, so there it is. So let's let's see what we can do with this thing. But when they ran into their challenges in life, they figured, I said, you can always call me, and there's always time where we can go for a walk and we can get a cone, we can get some ice cream. It's really not that bad, and we can get through this. And so we tried to keep an open door for them. And teenagers do stupid stuff. That's what they do. Uh, and ministry, and in ministry, that's who I am. I can no more stop being who I am than who I am. So, but I do realize at some point I'm going to transition from ministry. I pray that my kids don't stop coming to see me, and I certainly pray that my wife don't leave me. And God has promised He won't leave me. I have to have that priority, and I'm pretty satisfied with it.
Life is wonderful, and it's wonderful because we make it wonderful. And by making it wonderful, mean that we have to stay engaged. We have to stay engaged, and also in touch with reality. Because we all gonna transition from one thing to another, and we all have to know when it's time to make that transition. A lot of us try to stay in the game too long, Arch. You stay in the game too long, next thing you know, time done pass you by, or you didn't plan properly because you were still worried about staying in the game, and was worried about trying to keep up with the Joneses, which is something that I ain't never even thought about doing that, and you either. And keeping up with the no, I'm me, no, I'm running my own race, you know, and we all have to run our own race, and we all have to sit back and just, I believe, Arch, just look at that man or look at that woman in the mirror and see what's reflecting back out toward it. And then you have to ask that person, are you happy? Are you doing the right things? Are you doing the things that you're supposed to? Are you bringing joy and happiness to someone else's life? If not, if you can't answer that question, if you're like, well, I don't know, I mean, oh, that's a problem. So joy is being able to bring a smile to someone else's face, man. And Arch, man, every time I chat with you, man, I'm just like, I'm giggling, I'm happy because you just got that inspiration that where you just uplift people, and you always have been that way, my friend.
Well, thank you. You know, the Lord, I didn't, I don't have those deep gifts like everybody else. I think the problem is, you know, everybody want to be somebody else. Not everybody, but people want to be somebody else. Yeah, I often tell my team, you know, it's not enough that God has called me to preach and He told me to look for wrongs and try to make them right. That is not enough. You know, I want to lead the choir. You know, I want to play the piano. I want to do. Want instead of being satisfied with who I am, and that's what and I don't know me, I'm not meaning me in general, but people need to be able, and you hit the nail on the head. You have to be able to find peace with you and say, you know, if I'm doing the very best I can do, and I'm doing everything I know to do. Because trust me, on that great day, God is not going to ask you, what did you do with the gifts that I gave Tom that you wanted? He's going to ask you, what did you do with the gifts and talents that I gave you? And he's not going to say, Dr. Cooley, come here and sit down with me. He's going to say, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Man, if you hear well done, that good and faithful servant, you are a winner. Because the opposite of that is, depart from me, you work of iniquity. So I have made my mind up, man. I just like me. I'm okay with me, my flaws, my faults, my country slang, my slowness, I didn't talk, my bad eyesight, all of it. I'm okay. It's gonna be all right
It's
because
gonna be all
somebody
right.
what I got. Amen.
Amen. Hey, Arch, now we're down to the last a minute and a half of the show, but I gotta ask you this. Okay, so uh, your legacy. What do you want people? Because one of these days we all gonna go. What you want people to remember you by? What you want your legacy to be?
Well, I've actually given this a lot of thought. I would say I want people to know that as a man, he went into war and didn't get killed. He didn't die young. He had a woman he loved and a job he liked. He looked for wrongs and tried to make them right. That's it.
All right, man. That's poetry right there, man. Uh, Captain Archibald, you got a open invitation to come on the James Cooley show anytime you want to, and I mean that. I mean, you're my DAWG. I mean, always have been that way, man. And I can't wait to get that beautiful wife of yours, Mary, on the show, Dr. Archibald. So I'm looking forward to that as well. So I want to thank you so much, my great friend. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show. I like
Thank
to
you
thank
thank you for inviting me, brother. And when you get
always.
her, your academic profile just increased.
you know, I like to thank my executive producer, Michelle Cooley, for always doing all the heavy lifting, putting together great shows like she always. I like to thank, most importantly, our listening audience for taking the time to listen to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. So I tell you what, always remember this. Always dream big, think big, and be big at everything you do. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. It's your life. I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley.